Matilda Cameron peered through her car windscreen as the wipers sluiced away the water that was bucketing from the heavens. In the gloomy pre-dawn light, she could just about make out a long Regency terrace to her right. With its ornate white stucco facade, rectangular windows and black wrought-iron balconies, it reminded her of a soggy wedding cake. To her left lay a pebbled seafront and a grey expanse of what passed for ocean in this part of the world. She was there at such a godforsaken hour, an hour when she would normally be in a nice warm bed, because today was the day that they were photographing the stills for a new campaign for De Vere and Soames, one of Britain's most celebrated jewellers, a jeweller with 4 royal warrants, no less, as Jamie Soames, great-great-great-grandson of one of the original founders, had impressed upon her when she'd met with him in his Albemarle Street offices a few weeks earlier. "I'm sure you realise how important it is that we get this absolutely right," Soames had said, a tight smile on his patrician features. "Yes, absolutely right," she had assured him, trying not to subconsciously mimic his accent. "You're in the best hands in the country. I know you'll be delighted with our work." His business was dependent on it. Her job was riding on it. The weather, however, wasn't cooperating. She could see Cara, the stylist, parked a few metres away, the back of her station wagon piled high with suit bags, shoe boxes and hats, and there was Paul, Mattie's favourite hair and makeup wizard. Honestly, the guy could make a rusty Brillo pad look good, Bianca, her boss at 3B's, had said when she'd first recommended him, parked next to Cara. There was no sign of the 2 young models, Cassandra and Jemima, who Mattie had cast last week, nor was the honey wagon anywhere to be seen. She glanced at Orazio, who was in the passenger's seat beside her, drumming his fingers on the dashboard and looking every bit the temperamental hot young Italian photographer. He was being hailed as the new de Marchillier, and was in such high demand in London and New York that she'd been wildly lucky to book him for the dates they needed. She'd only succeeded due to a combination of dogged persistence and major sucking up to his agent. He didn't drive, so she'd picked him up from his Peckham terrace at the excruciatingly early time of 5:30 a.m., loading his camera gear into the back of her car, and they had been sitting, watching the rain on the Brighton seafront for the past half hour. She fumbled in her bag for an antacid. Her stomach was in knots. She hadn't had time for more than coffee before they'd left, and there was nowhere open. Not that she was getting out of the car in this downpour in any case. She ground the chalky tablet between her teeth, and then, for something to do besides worry about the weather, consulted the call sheet yet again. She reviewed the plans for the day's shoot, the brief for the photographer, the headshots of the models, the permits that allowed them to shoot, and the contacts for everyone involved, including the absent honey wagon company. They were also still waiting on De Vere and Soames's security guard with a gazillion quids worth of diamonds, rubies and emeralds. The reason they were all there in the first place. The success of today's shoot, the whole campaign actually, was in her hands. The buck, as Bianca hadn't failed to remind her, stopped with her. It had been her creative concept, her strategy, and she couldn't afford to bugger it up, not if she wanted to hold on to her job, not to mention get away to her long-awaited holiday on time. 10 days. Switzerland. With Johnny. Snow-capped mountains, postcard-perfect chalets and romantic log fires. She could almost taste the whipped cream on top of the hot chocolate. Sighing, she got out her phone and punched in a number from the sheet. It was going to be a long day. As Mattie was dialing, an enormous trailer bearing the 50s-style curling logo, Sweet As, rumbled around the corner. "Well, that's one less thing to worry about. The honey wagon's here. At least the girls will have somewhere to change. Now, how are we going to get around this weather?" she asked Orazio, keeping her voice upbeat. The shoot had been organised with no time for a proper recce, nor was there an alternative date on which to do it, given Orazio's heavily booked schedule. Not waiting for his